Hi, I am halfway through my 200-hour yoga teacher training program. Halfway. Hi, I'm Janelle Tedesco, and I'm sharing my experience through this process. So halfway through, or 100 hours in, is significant in a few ways. Certainly because it's the midway point, because that in itself is a great way to assess where you are in your journey, where you began, where you realistically feel you could end up. But at Abaya, where I am taking my training, it's significant in another way. Tara breaks up the training into two distinct sections. So the first half is about study, it's about learning the roots of yoga, its development, what we gain from it, our anatomy and how we use yoga poses to strengthen our bodies, alignment, breathing, meditation. All of this is touched upon in the first half, and she refers to the first half as immersion. The second half of the program is learning how to teach. So yeah, there is a huge shift in direction, and it's kind of like starting a new school year. Now, of course, I don't exactly know like everything that's going to happen and what it will look like, but we'll learn how to create a class. I guess it's structure and options and stuff like that. And of course, I will report back once we've actually gotten into it. But for now, let me tell you about how these last few weeks have gone. I realized that before I signed up for this training, I had never actually taken an advanced yoga class. I've always considered myself like an intermediate yogi, and I'll tell you, it's kind of hard to find advanced classes. They're not very easy to come by. And even though I wanted to improve, I never really sought out those classes because, oh, that was a little intimidating. Well, now, taking one advanced class per week is part of my practice. So I have grown and I have developed so much in terms of my ability. I can go from a crow into a chaturanga, which was definitely a goal of mine. And I can do a tripod press-up handstand. That was another goal. But the funny thing now is that every week I'm being exposed to brand new poses that I've never even seen or heard of before. So I couldn't necessarily aspire to them. In another video, I showed you a pose that I did, but I didn't know the name of it. So I wanted to come back to you and say that one is called 8-angle pose, or Astavakrasana. I am currently learning how to do Mayurasana, which is a very difficult pose, and I can't quite do it yet, but I can almost do a variation of it, which is really cool. And evidently one of the hardest poses in yoga, Vishvamitrasana, which I had never seen or heard of before, I was kind of able to do it in the first class that I ever tried it. So my general takeaway here is that I have improved so much and learned so much, but I'm also seeing and understanding on a much deeper level that yoga is a practice, a lifelong practice, and there will always be more to learn. So you will never reach the end. And that's great because it means that I will always have more work to do. And I like that. So in our last class of the half, we did a sort of sum up of all the different subjects that we'd covered. I haven't told you much about the Bhagavad Gita, which is a pivotal text in Hinduism, because it's a little too deep and philosophical to touch on in a short video like this. Some people devote their entire lives to the explorations of its meaning. So I'm very grateful to have read a version of it and been introduced to something that I'd never heard of. And it's something that's really important, and I will most likely continue to deepen my understanding of it. Moving on, our introduction to anatomy was just that. It was an introduction. Now, granted, we learned a lot, and I can't even remember everything that we learned, but I have the book, I have my notes, and I will continue to take class and be reminded, as well as reminding myself, where the piriformis is and what its function is. We also played a version of charades in the last class where we did poses and a method that we're learning, and it was really fun and really informative and a truly great way to end our first half. Our next class, the beginning of the second half, is going to be very different, but I'm ready for it. I'm nervous, I'm really excited, but I'm ready.